Welcome to this episode of the We Get Outdoors Tribe vlogcast. Today we're going to look about how we turn this piece of wood into a mallet. So to do this we're going to use two simple tools. We're going to use my Grundfos Brook small forest axe and a small pruning saw. So I've been working at the cutting edge of the outdoor industry for over 30 years, guiding people on massive expeditions, training them to be better in the outdoors, training coaches, guides and leaders, all sorts of things. And what we're going to do today, building the mallet out of this piece of wood, is one of the first things that I observe and teach with people when we go on an expedition. Why take a mallet when you could make your own? Hello Katie, come say hi.
Hi.
Say loudly. Woo.
Hi.
Okay, you can't sit on here, we'll fall off. Here you go, sit on there now. There we go. And this activity of building a mallet is something that we can do with children of Caitlin's age, all the way through to grown adults. Now, not only is this a great thing to make at the start of a trip or expedition, it also shows me all sorts of things about all sorts of people, because in using the saw and the axe and the way we're going to be doing it, it actually shows me how skillful and how safe people are using sharp tools without putting them at very much risk. So without further ado, let's get busy, let's start using the axe and let's start using the saw and let's construct our wooden mallet super fast. Let's go. So the first thing we need to do is work out how long to make our piece of wood. And for me, it's the length of my boot. Great, about here somewhere. And then we're going to cut off this piece of wood here and start forming our mallets. Once we've got this chunk here, this is going to be our mallet. So we've got our starting piece to make our mallet out of. What I want to talk to you quickly about is about the wood that we're using, where I got it from and what you should be considering. So usually when we make mallets, I make them in wilderness conditions, often in the middle of nowhere, where if I take off a limb of a tree or even take down a whole part of a tree, the quantity of wood around it, the speed at which the wood grows, and also the location of it, one or two of those limbs makes no difference. However, if you're in a park or a place where people go often and frequently, you may well want to go and find out what the rules and regulations are about taking out bits of wood and bits of tree, and whether it's actually permitted. In terms of what wood to use, I'm using a form of poplar at this point in time because I've got that in the garden behind me. That's where I've harvested it from. My favourite piece of wood for doing this is silver birch, which obviously you're going to find in hilly areas, often around lakes and rivers on the banks there. However, you can make this do this out of any wood as long as you've harvested the wood with some degree of ethical thought about it, I suppose. So don't go and upset the world by cutting all the trees down that are available to you. Go and find some in a remote area that are tucked away, or maybe even find something in your own yard or garden that you could cut down to do this with. Anyhow, let's get cracking. Hang on, Katie, I'm busy. So the next thing I'm going to do with a pencil is just start drawing around here the thickness of my saw blade. The reason will become apparent why in a second. Many of you will be able to guess why already. And what we're actually doing here is drawing out the thickness of the handle, and we'll use these marks again in a second. So you'll see that we've got the outside bit and then we've got this bit in the middle here. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to cut a circle just the blade depth of the saw all the way around where we want the head to be, and then we're going to start using the axe. So first of all, we just mark round, so we try and get the best possible equal circle that we can, and then off we go. So now we have a depth of my pruning saw in a ring all the way around the outside here. We have our markings of a similar distance from the end, and now we're going to use our axe in the safest possible way. This is the way that I teach to people who've never used axes before, haven't used them very often before, and we're going to use our axe for splitting with a baton. That means that we're going to cut around and split off the bits that aren't in the centre of where this handle is going to be that we marked beforehand. And so to do that, we hold the axe, we use a baton, and we literally wallop the back of the axe head. And so what we've done is we've kept ourselves very safe with the axe, even though this wood is incredibly hard, by leaving the axe head permanently connected to the wood. That means there's no slip or trip hazards with the axe head, and smacking it very hard with a baton. That's now left us, and I lost a bit of the head in this because I didn't cut in far enough, but that's now left us with a super cool mallet that we can use to go and bash in tent pegs or whatever we like. So why don't you go out and go harvest some wood, make yourself a mallet, practice using the axe like I just showed you, practice using the saw, and next session when I come back to you and do something else with wood, we're going to look at carving a wooden spoon just using your knife and a hook spoon. If you've liked this and enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up, please subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and share this with your friends. I hope that's of some interest and some use, and I look forward to joining you in the next session. Katie, you're waffling.